Well, well, well. Swansea City have furthered their hopes of avoiding relegation after beating our beloved West Ham 4-1 at Liberty Stadium. My, oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my. Andre Ayew caused us havoc, and what are the chances of that? We're joined by Stel and Luke on Irons United YouTube channel. Over to you, Stel. Thoughts on just go for it. Give me something, anything.
I don't know. I don't know where to start. Okay, Swansea were better organised, more composed on the ball. Every chance they took them well. We weren't at the races for a game that was so important. We didn't even turn up. Now, I know we can say we've been unlucky. We lost Bonner and we lost Collins before the game itself. We lost Reed early into the game. You know, our first three centre-back choices, which sort of kind of then makes people ask, well, why did we sell Font? I'm not a Font fan, so I don't know if he would have made a difference even if he was there. We were awful. Speculative first goal, decent shot. People say the commentary was that Adrian was at fault. From what the angle I saw on TV, I don't know. He may have not been sighted. I don't know.
I think if you think about that shot that went in, the biggest issue for me was the fact it felt like it took so long for the ball to trickle in. He did hit it from distance, but there was not great power from it. So yeah, it hit the corner. Yeah, it may have been out of sight, but you still think for a top level quality goalkeeper at the speed that the ball was going towards goal that he should really be getting a hand to that. In my opinion.
I kind of agree. So, and then the second goal, bad defending unfortunately from Rice. He was out muscled. He allowed. I can't remember who it was that scored. Was it King that scored the second goal?
No, it was Van der Hoorn.
Well, he allowed him. He just literally pushed Rice out, nudged Rice out the way.
Yeah.
Great pronunciation, by the way.
Van der Hoorn. But listen, look, if you think about the starting lineup, for example, I mean, myself and you, we done the preview, and I mentioned that I was always going to be fearful of Andre Ayew, and I suppose maybe something I didn't say in the preview, but I probably should have, was the fact that he's going to be coming back to a Swansea team who know how to play him in his right position and just give him the freedom to do what he did. And he terrorised us today. He absolutely did terrorise us today. Is that pure luck because he's coming up against his old club? Or does that come down to actually, do you know what, Swansea know how to play him in his position?
He was shit. He done fuck all. Don't start praising him. He was shit. He was the only thing he'd done, which was get with his brother when his brother was giving Noble a bit of stick. He was trying to get him sent off. No, he didn't play that badly, to be fair. I'm exaggerating a little bit. I will go back and word a little bit. But, I mean, what did he do? I mean, he wasn't a standout player. You know, they had about, the whole team must have mugged us off. Jordan Ayew was on the tech up front. It was just the funny thing is that, I think I read a few bets online that people were having. It was typical that he was going to score against us, and then they're all pissed off that he didn't score against us. To be honest, in the end, because he might as well have and gotten some money, which is a bit, bad money. But no, I didn't think he was great. But yeah, they did play him with his opposition. But then Swansea, the whole team played well. So fuck you, basically. So,
I mean, it's still when you, I do disagree with you. Look on that. I think Ojayu was top drawer today because I think he
don't praise him.
I know you don't want to praise him. I get that, but it just that's the part that worries me is when you're coming up against, and it happens too many a time with West Ham. We come up against a player who used to play for us or a player that's known to cause us problems throughout his whole career. Ayew, when he played against us at the last couple of games at Upton Park, destroyed us in that game. He played for our club. And then we knew really what we should be coming up against. Now, if you remember back to the game we played Swansea at the Olympic Stadium where we beat them, we weren't great either in that game. So, I mean, still, what is it with West Ham right now? I mean, we are now 3 points from the... Is it 3 points from the relegation zone? Literally, with two teams that got games in hand on us, Newcastle and Crystal Palace. It's got
we could be hovering just above the relegation zone when all the teams have played. Yeah,
we've conceded another 7 goals in the last 2 games. We're conceding goals against Shipping. 8 goals. Sorry, that's right. Yeah, so we've conceded goals. I mean, what is it? What do we need to do?
I mean, when Moyes came in, the first thing he did after a few dodgy results was he galvanised the defence. He got us to play as a defensive force, and hitting teams on the break. And we kind of assumed that that's what he'll continue to do throughout every other game. And for the last few games, he hasn't done that. Now we know, we're all saying about Liverpool and how great they are, but Liverpool kind of broke us down rather easily. And then today. An average Swansea team broke us down equally as well, and I think we've lost that defensive play. He said in an interview, I think on Friday, we may have to go back to playing ugly. Do you know what? Play ugly, and keep it down to a 0-0 if need be.
Yeah.
Because we didn't play ugly today, and we didn't play well. We played pretty awful, and our defence is. I said this earlier in the season, and I'm going to now. It looks like I'm repeating myself. Where we really lost the game most of all is central midfield. Kayati and Noble weren't at it today, which allowed their attackers to go forward, and it kind of left our defence exposed. So the whole team itself is not playing defensively the way Moyes got us to play when he first came in. Kayati had a shocker today. He played pretty badly, and Noble was outrun.
Yeah.
And I said that so many times in the first few games of the season, whilst Bilic was in charge, and we seem to have sort of gone back to type. And it's we had nothing in midfield. We weren't connecting our midfield, our front line with our defence, or the other way round. Sorry, and we sort of that's where we lost. Swansea were easily they were composed, and they kind of embarrassed us, to be honest.
Look, these are the games with these teams so close to us that we need to be getting points from. We need to be walking away with at least a point, but majorly with the squad that we've got, with the quality of players that we have got there, we should be walking away with something from that game. We're now leaving ourselves really in trouble with a terrible run-in. With myself and Stell just had a quick chat about it beforehand. Up next is Burnley. They've not been on a great run, but they've just won a great game today. They're going to be on momentum. They're literally they're probably a victory guaranteed away from safety, or a point away from safety. I mean, they're going to be safe, so they've got nothing to lose. And then we've got this run-in with City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, Stoke, Leicester. Where does that leave us, Luke? I mean, and when I mean this, we are in grave danger of getting relegated.
Pass the bleach, please. It's got to the point now where I'm looking for anything to cheer me up. I've said all season, you guys know, I've been an advocate for staying up, keeping safe. I've said all season that I think we'll stay up. I think we'll have enough. But after this game, which is, it's not even to lose to a relegation rival, it's the way you lose. And the fact that we were so poor, and the fact we conceded so many goals so easy as well, set piece goals from corners. Rice has been, he's potentially next great star for West Ham, but he's at fault for at least one of the goals from not following his marker. But that highlighted basically everything about today, and today is one of those games that we needed to win. I don't even care if we didn't play that well; you just get the result. Because I'm just after the Liverpool game, it's just about literally getting if we got better today. And an Arnautovic to come on, or an Arnautovic to just hit a shot at the last minute and scored 1-0, I'd take that. Honestly, it wouldn't be nice to watch. It'd been boring and whatever. I would have wanted to, do something else. But it was just barbaric. It was shocking. And I know, Stel, you were saying to me previously that Antonio doesn't look interested, and I was sort of sticking to my guns, saying, "No, Antonio does. Don't be harsh on Antonio." But I think you're right. To be fair. He took his goal well. But that was like the only highlight of the game.
It's all he did. It's all he did.
Yeah, and it was
mate. He, because I said to you, like, as we were watching the game, he saw Antonio. He came on and he tried to make something like 3 or 4 passes that all overhit or hit, one straight to the keeper's arms and all that sort of stuff. And I said he looked really, really disinterested. And I don't know if you said it as a joke and said, well, he's upset, maybe upset for getting dropped. Well, that's where you need to show even more reason. You're upset. If you're upset for getting dropped, you need to show why You deserve to stay in the team. And he looked like he couldn't be bothered to be on the pitch today.
Yeah.
You know, and it's such a shame, a real shame.
I struggle to. I mean, I have to agree with you on that still, and I'm struggling to have to admit that, because I do think I suppose we can only give him so much praise after getting Hammer of the Year last year and carrying the side a lot, which he did do. But it does get to the point where he did look really disinterested today. He did look disinterested last week against Liverpool, and it is frustrating. And when you see a player with, you know, the passion, the strength, the determination he's got, I was going to say the ability. I don't think he's got the greatest of ability as a footballer. No. But just with his determination and desire to achieve success and to get the ball, and he's not really putting in the performances, albeit he is coming on off as a sub, or coming on as a sub when West Ham are probably, I mean, I'm trying to pick a positive out of it, but we're kind of dead and buried. And
well, we were 2-0 down. Yeah. And, you know, at 2-0 down, you still think if we can get an early goal, there's a chance. You know, and the irony is we came out in the second half and we really tried to go for it, and then we another set piece, a corner, and we went 3-0 down, and that's when it was all ended. But even that, you know, at 2-0 down, you know, you could start seeing that we were pressing, trying to close them down, trying to close down on the defenders and the keepers, but Antonio weren't there. You know, he wasn't, you know, the kind of brute type of player that he is, you know, who's got a lot of strength, a lot of power. He's the one player that you want to go and really, really sort of give it to the defenders. And he was like, I'm sorry, but he just, I'm not blaming Antonio. Yeah, I'm not blaming just, the whole team played crap. But, you know, with someone with his strength, because we know he's not the most skillful of players, but with someone of his strength, you'd expect him to really sort of muscle in.
I mean, it does. I mean, you've also got to remember, just before we conceded the second goal, or not just before, but early on in the first half, we lost Winston Reid. Another centre half, we've lost James Collins and Ogbonna. Hopefully Ogbona's not out for long. But now we've only really got one recognised centre back, because our lovely board decided to accept an offer, whether or not the player wants to go or not, for Jose Font. Now, I'm not his biggest fan, as is Stel. Again, I'm not too sure what your opinion on Jose Font was, Luke, but the point is he's gone and we don't have the backup players there, and it left us short. We've got a thin squad. We've had a thin squad all season, and that's when these games are so important, to have this big squad, that quality of player in the background that can come on, take over from Winston Reid. Winston Reid looks like it's a bad injury. I mean, it gave us 10 minutes of treatment on the park, and if you haven't seen it, he's gone down making a tackle where Rice is cleared off the line, and his whole body's gone over one way and his knee has bent back kind of the other way. So I mean, yeah, he looks like he's potentially out for the season, and it could even be longer, to be honest, as long as it's not anything really kind of terrible. But this is the frustrating part again for West Ham. We're left short again. We're left short, and we've had the opportunities not to be left short. Where do we go from here, Luke? I mean, I don't even know if we need to spend the time telling everyone about the goals. Terrible conceding goals from corners. Andre Ayew had headed the ball. Adrian saved the players, knocking the ball back in the net. We're not man marking our players. It's like they're doing the zonal marking. There's nothing going forward. I felt sorry for Arnautovic again today, because when he has a bad game, he's been carrying us. He's been the player that's been carrying us. Lanzini needs to step up, and Lanzini hasn't been that great today. Look, what are your thoughts on Lanzini?
He seemed a little bit. It's almost like kind of Lanzini's a luxury player, because I mean, how often do you actually see him try and track back and make a tackle? A few times here and there, but that's not his game. And he's a player that flourishes when you're playing attacking football. But I think also I realised that which doesn't help the forward players is the fact that the defence was so deep. The defence was so deep, and it's kind of like an ongoing pattern with West Ham that we're playing this counter-attacking football. We're so scared and unconfident about pushing up. The amount of times Adrian will shout to the defence saying push up, push up, push up. We're all bunched together. They're not quick enough to get out, and that stops the attacking players having the effect that they've got. And you've got Noble and Chiari not doing their job in the midfield. Lanzini is left out, of course, today because he wasn't his brilliant best, but then nor the team, and I think that doesn't help when. You know, Arnautovic is one of them players that can kind of do everything on his own. He can come back, he can track back, he can make a tackle, he can hold the ball up, he can make play, he can do something out of the ordinary. Lanzini's kind of a one flash kind of player, which he's very good at, but he won't be an all-rounder like an Anatovich. So for him to have an impact today, really, you need to give him the ball. He needs to do his little runs where he niggles through a few defenders and makes a forward play. But in general, I think him being, quiet and ineffective today was kind of epitomised how awful we were going forward. If I'm honest, I think Hernandez done more about getting back and try and track back and make play happen than needed.
And you've just mentioned the man, my main man, the man I love, and the man I really struggled to say a negative word about. But I can't really give him a positive today because Hernandez didn't really do anything. But still, is that Hernandez's fault, or is it the West Ham way where we're just not playing to a striker's advantage?
How many times do we say Hernandez can't play up front on his own, and so he's reliant on someone alongside him, just behind him, whatever it may be. So he does sort of have to drop back to try and pick up the ball. But the unfortunate thing today is every time he dropped back to pick up the ball, he lost it, and that gave Swansea the ability to counter attack. So I'd rather have him goal hang and wait for the ball to come to him rather than drop off. And then, one wonders then, we talked last week about not playing Hernandez. Ironically, this was a game that Hernandez shouldn't have started in, and maybe this is the sort of game that you should have had Antonio up front, or Antonio sort of alongside Arnautovic and Lanzini to cause them more problems, to have that physicality. And that's the unfortunate thing. When a player is isolated, when a striker is isolated, he wants to get into the game. He gets into the game by dropping deep. He drops deep and then he loses the ball. That puts you on the back foot, and he did that a couple of times today, which is a real shame. But you can't kind of blame him. He wants to be involved. He wants to try and do something for the team. But it had a couple of times it had a detrimental effect. So do you blame him? Don't blame him for his efforts, but again, we haven't played to his strengths. If Hernandez starts, he's got to have someone up with him. It's as simple as that, because he's not a good, he's a poacher. He's not a lone striker, so he's not great at holding the ball.
Before you come in there, look, make sure you get the comments below. Make sure you comment. We're getting messages sent through to us. We'll talk about them just at the end, which is going to be a couple of minutes. But make sure you comment. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Look, next, sorry, go for it.
It's funny because I was thinking during the game, especially the first half, I actually thought Ever had a good game for what it was. He seemed pretty stable at left back. He was putting in the tackles, and Swansea didn't seem to get much past him throughout the first half. But I was watching my brother, and I said to him, looking at our team, how many of those players have actually been involved in a relegation battle?
Yeah,
Hernandez has never been in a relegation battle. Everett's never been in a relegation battle, and Anatovich has never been that far with Stoke. But I don't think he's struggled Stoke haven't really been in a position like they have been this year. You've got players on the bench like Joe Hart, who I've knocked him this season or whatever, but he's never been involved in a relegation battle really. You're looking around, you're thinking, Zabaleta, for example, tried his hardest, but he's never been involved in a relegation battle either. And you're looking around these players, you're thinking, how many of these players are actually equipped to deal with the pressure that comes with playing against teams at the bottom who are willing to dig in and hit you hard with tackles and feign injuries. And you got a player like Hernandez who, no matter how much you try to say it, is practically inept apart from being in the box and around for scoring goals. He's not made for a team like us. So now I'm kind of thinking, well, why the fuck did we actually buy him?
Why did we buy him?
Because that's all
for a name, for the marketing, for
yeah, but do you know what, mate? They can't even do that, right? Like they can't even do. We sign a player of that quality. We could have signed Cristiano Ronaldo. We could have signed, when we were linked to him, rumoured to him, Ibrahimovic, and we do that all wrong. So it's just. Do you know what I mean? They buy a player because they think the fans are going to be happy with that, but they don't understand that they need a team to build or players to work with these. It's just.
I was saying to myself over and over again, we need a proper director of football.
Yeah.
Not just an owners syndicate that goes, who can we buy to shut the fans up and keep them happy and keep them in their seats. We need someone who goes, right, you've got this player, that player, this player. Let's work with the manager. Let's work with the coaching team. Let's work with the players and see to bring in. Because right now, you're just basically putting players on the team sheet to go, they'll do. But there's no real imagination about how those players are going to fit into the system. And right now, we haven't got a system. We've got players. We've got a counter-attacking approaching team that play too deep and asking for Arnautovic too much. And if he gets injured, then we're fucked. We are really fucked if he gets injured.
Well, listen, we are on a time limit. We've got a couple more minutes to go before we get onto the questions. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Was Moyes at fault today? Because I'm bringing this up solely based on the fact that earlier in the season we've had chances to go out and win games, and I honestly think it came down to the decision whether or not Moyes made a certain sub or changed the formation, and he didn't do it. Still, do you blame Moyes for today?
I blame the players for today. Moyes obviously picks the team, but I blame the players. The players didn't show up. Simple as that. Given how crucial this game was, I can reel them off. Byram, you didn't even hear his name when he came on as a sub. Antonio looked like he didn't care. Arnautovic tried, but he can't do it by himself. You guys are right about Lanzini. I love Lanzini, but Lanzini plays when the team is full of confidence. Plays well when the team is full of confidence. Mm-hmm. Chiati was back to his earlier form of the season, which was awful. I could go on. So I know the manager picks the team, but it's the players that have to go out there and do it. And for such a crucial game, they did not show up.
Luke?
Yeah. Sorry. I'll just read the comments. I think he does set up. He's set up to be too safe, especially in some home games we've played over the last month or so. I've been to games, especially I think games like the Crystal Palace game or other games that we've drawn in, and I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, there's the last 10 minutes. Palace, or the opposition aren't showing anything going forward. They're happy to just try and keep us out and all that stuff. And we have in the past just seemed happy to keep that along. Okay, we're not going to lose the game. It's an extra point. It's an extra build up on our quest to stay up in the league. It's a little build up. It's all very kind of, we've done enough. We'll just do enough. This will just get us up to the point where we don't have to push. If we push it, we risk it. It's not worth the risk. So that, I think now it's getting to the point where I don't want us to play safe because we played safe today and we lost 4-1. We played safe against Liverpool and we lost 4-1. And I think that now maybe it's a turning point when we need to start taking a few more risks and we need to start playing a bit more attacking and take it to teams rather than just trying to luckily hit them on the counter attack and just leave it to Arnautovic to do.
Right, well, before we go, we've got some questions in the YouTube chat, so we'll just get onto them and we'll just try and do a quick fire one. So, would we accept going down if it forced the board to sell? It's got that bad for me, was a comment still. No,
because the board won't sell. It's as simple as that. I think I'm sorry to say this, but I think people are deluded if they think the board are going to sell up. The board are only going to sell up when they're ready to sell up. And as much as I admire and appreciate all the, that what's going on in the background with people wanting to march, etc., it's not going to make the slightest bit of difference, and that's the reality of it. If we go down, the board will take a hit, but they won't sell. And in fact, it'll become even more difficult to sell a championship team unless they sell it off really, really cheap. And we know damn well they're not going to sell it off really cheap. Yeah.
Look, what are your thoughts on that quickly?
I heard a rumour a little while ago that basically Sullivan knows how to make money out of relegation, knows how to do parachute payments and all that sort of stuff. I'm not sure if I totally believe it, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, it's a mixture of saving money on wages, bringing in transfer fees.
Yeah, I never want West Ham to get relegated. Let's be honest. As a fan, I never want to see anything bad to happen to West Ham. That's just my dream world approach as a fan. For me, I'm got to the point now where I only want the board out if there's better to come in, and at this point, Mickey Mouse could be a better owner than the owners in a minute. I still want to stay up fundamentally. I don't really care how we do it now. Win ugly, play well, don't really care, just get the results. So if you're asking me, then no, I wouldn't take that personally.
Yeah, and I'm the same. I want us to stay up because the board aren't going to sell. I'm completely on your guys' wavelength. I just don't think they're going to sell. And I'm the biggest advocate for them to leave. I do not want them there. I've not wanted them there for a long time. I have no interest in what they say. I have no interest in meeting them. I have no interest in talking to them. I have no interest in West Ham's board whatsoever. But I'm there as a West Ham fan. I'm going to continue to be there as a West Ham fan, and I want them to go. Last question is it time? Someone should come in here saying, would you give Hearts another chance? So I'll put this one over to you, Stel. He's giving us a crossed irons. He's going.
Listen, I'll tell. Look, this is how much I really dislike Hart. If Hart comes back in goal, we'll get relegated.
Well,
I really do think that.
Drop.
I'm not kidding. I think Adrian could have been at fault for the first goal today. He didn't play that well against Liverpool last week either. But let's not forget, Hart didn't exactly fill us with confidence when he played, and I don't think Hart should be given another chance. What for? To improve his chances on making the World Cup? No thanks.
Well, look, we all know that he's going to be knocking on Moyes' door 100%. He's going to be there. He's going to be in the back of his heels in training. Everywhere he goes, he's going to say, "Boss, give me a chance, give me a chance." Is Moyes going to stick with Adrian, or is he going to give Hart a shot?
I think, personally, I wouldn't actually be totally surprised if Hart did come in for the next game. Possibly, yes. And this is kind of a big deal for me because I'm a really big fan of Adrian. But I think he's one of them goalkeepers now where it's weird because I don't think Hart's any better than Adrian. I think it's just more or less just replacing a like for like in goal. And I think that with Adrian, the thing with Adrian is he will save 2 shots in a game that Hart won't get anywhere near. Just for the fact he's so flamboyant and whatever. With Hart, I think you have more of a stable goalkeeper. So Adrian will try and do the more flamboyant saves, the more TV happy saves and whatever. But look, last 2 games we've conceded 8 goals, and for a goalkeeper with let's face it, at least 3 defenders in front of him at all times isn't great. And I know that it's not a very good defence; it's a mixed match defence. But I'm not saying Adrian out. I'm saying Adrian in still. I'm still not sold on Hart replacing him, but I wouldn't be surprised if Hart did replace him for next game.
You got to remember. You know, we've lost 3 of our central defenders today.
Yeah, I know. Which I do feel bad for making that comment, but
yeah, and you know, even if Hart was in goal today, it wouldn't have been any better.
No,
And I think that's what fans have got to sort of realise.
It's a knee-jerk reaction as well.
But that's because I don't like Hart. I'm honest about that.
Yeah.
You know, and I think you're right, Luke. I don't think he's a better keeper than Adrian. I think they're probably on par. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's tough. And do you know what? I suppose this is going to be perfect timing to round off our review. Thank you very much for joining us. What we will say is we are a lethargic West Ham when we need to be an energised West Ham. And right now it's really tough. What I will say is we are, in my opinion, I feel like when we do play well, it does feel like it's just painting over the cracks because there's many issues there. Like I have said all season, from top to bottom, from the owners to the playing staff, something's not right at our club and it needs to be addressed sooner rather than later. However we do that, I don't know. Marching, not marching, I don't know.
Can I just say quickly?
Go for it, Luke.
In case that people don't know, people are moaning that Fonte was sold. We've got no centre backs. He lost 8-0 today. Gave away a penalty in his debut for his club.
And taken off with 10 minutes to go.
Yeah. So
just add he's
on 130 grand a week after tax apparently. So don't feel too bad about it.
But on the plus side today, you know, Antonio scored our 1,000th Premiership goal.
And do you know what, Stel, see on that? And my sister actually informed me of it because she's seen it written down this morning. But how much of a disappointment was that 1,000th goal as well at West Ham?
But was the fourth goal our millionth goal conceded?
That's probably the stat. That's the stat they want to leave out, don't they?
Yeah.
But listen, thank you very much for joining us. What I will say is, if you are on Facebook, then get yourself over to a group page that's myself, Stel, and the lads from Irons United and some other people that Stel's involved with, because we have a new group page and it's called The West Ham Voice in association with Irons United. So get across there, you can get your comments, your posts up, talk about it. We're quite open and honest about it, Stel, as long as there's no threats on the go.
It's got to be open and honest. You can say whatever you want to say, so long as you say it respectfully.
Yeah.
And respect other people's other people may have a difference of opinion.
Yeah.
So yeah, all West Ham fans are welcome to say whatever they like to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
With respect.
Also, over the coming weeks, we'll do a giveaway on that Facebook group for one of the tops, a number of West Ham top. thanks to our partners at Umbro. And then there'll be another, hopefully another couple of things coming up to give away. There's still the tickets for the Southampton game, so get sharing, etc. So anyway, get on over there, subscribe to our channel, start liking, doing all that shenanigans, and hopefully, fingers crossed, West Ham can survive this season. We'll see you for the preview this week, and keep your eyes out for The Bowl-In Poet is coming back this week for a new show. Alf Gasparo's Rhubarb Grumble, Worldwide Irons, shows galore, West Ham galore. It's doom and gloom, but come over to our channel because it's all positive. Anyway, that's Stel, that's Luke, I'm Anton, and come on, you Irons.